We're really excited to be working with Freetrade, who've sponsored this video.
Freetrade believes in commission-free investing for everyone. This means you won't pay any commission when investing your spare cash.
While other brokers charge up to £12 per trade, Freetrade doesn't, so you can keep more of your money. And where they do charge, like on FX, it's fair and transparent.
The design of the app makes it simple and easy to use, which is great for any experience level. From beginners starting to educate themselves on the benefits of investing to experts already in the know.
You can start investing from just £2, and they offer these things called fractional stocks. This basically means you can buy a small piece of expensive US companies like Google, Tesla and Apple.
With over 700,000 investors on board and having won the best online trading platform at the British Bank Awards 5 years running, they're an investment platform you can trust.
Now for the best bit. If you create and fund your account with just £50 using our link, you will get a free share worth between £10 and £100. That could be in anything from Ford to Spotify.
Remember, when you invest, your capital is at risk. The value of your portfolio can go up as well as down, and you may get back less than you put in. This is not financial advice. You should always do your own research on what investments are right for you before investing, or seek the advice of a professional. Yo guys, welcome to the last lap.
Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching an Apple podcast or Spotify.
Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it.
Welcome back to the Last Lap podcast, everyone. Thank you for joining us on audio-only platforms, on YouTube, wherever you choose to consume us lot on a Tuesday evening. Niran?
Consume us however you like.
Love that Liverpool kit, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I felt retro today.
It's a nice one.
Love it.
I'm going back to the days when, Liverpool were in major European competitions and not Europe. Moving on.
Well, to be fair, Ferrari red, Liverpool red, disappointment red.
Yes, quite. Yeah. So, I felt very Scuderia today.
You did.
Very slow button on was how I was feeling. And, Charles Leclerc and Ferrari delivered the goods.
To the wrong
bads,
house.
Actually. The bads. Yeah, they delivered
To the wrong address.
Hermes settings. They were just like, oh, man.
You know when they like toe punt it like through your window?
Yeah.
And you
They
see
leave it in
someone's
a-
ring doorbell's picked it up and it's...
Leave it in a bin outside.
That's the upgrades.
Yeah,
That's how they're delivered to Maranello. Boys,
facts.
Pete, Mahad, thank you very much for staying for the live stream as well and for the podcast.
Well, no worries. Thank you for having us back on. Another disastrous day for McLaren.
McLaren Fan TV representing
McLaren Fan
his
TV.
Yeah, man.
Episodes every Tuesday, but turned the P3 into whatever that was.
Well, it was looking so good. It was looking so good. Like, what do you make of the incident? Obviously, Norris, Hamilton contact out of the kind of first chicane, turn 1, 2. What do you make of it?
I think it's just more of one of those lap one incidences. Obviously, Sainz and Max were having their little shenanigans at the front, and then obviously Sainz backs out, brakes a little bit. There's a repeat effect with Lewis as well.
Yeah.
Then,
Bit of a wrong place, wrong time.
Norris's front end plate just gone. But
Yeah.
like I was mentioning it on the live stream, like our car is extremely brittle. Just like every time it skims anything, if it skims a wall or anything, it's just broken. It's completely done.
Yeah.
It's like it hasn't got any like robustness to it.
The Alpine can go to war.
Yeah.
The McLaren,
It can't.
Even the Mercedes, like that front wing strong, like every time I remember Hamilton having contact with anybody, it would be completely fine. But this car just melts away. The same as the Ferrari, just melts away. Any type of contact whatsoever. Yeah. But it's just one of those things, bad luck. And then that's the race over for Norris. And then Piastri had a bad start and then just got swamped and then out of the points as well. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Praying for rain didn't happen.
So this is the problem, isn't it? It's like we create a car that's clearly good between the wet and dry, and not necessarily for like a normal race weekend in Formula One. And we just want one normal day of racing where there's no issues.
Regular day.
No, just one regular
McLaren.
day.
How long has it been since McLaren have given you consistent, good, normal days?
We've had what?
It's gotta be 2021, right?
I think the
2021.
the 2 days we've had normal this season, we finished double points.
Yeah.
Like that just kind of shows you what's at stake here. And as you said, the car is brittle, and we can't be creating a car like this. B-spec car, we need it now.
When's it coming?
Silverstone. It said between Austria and Silverstone, so it has to be Silverstone, right? They're not going to introduce it on a sprint weekend.
What's
But
the
they did that
realistic
back in.
expectations from that, though?
That is a completely different car to the one that we got at the moment, because this car is just the performance window is so narrow to the point where it's weather dependent car. You can't have a weather dependent car.
Aston Martin brought the perfect B-spec because they went from, even at the end of last season, they were still, I think, slightly slower than Alpine and McLaren.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they leapfrog to second quickest with one big upgrade.
Yeah.
So like, you know that it wasn't like gradual upgrades. It came in one big hit and they hit the ground running. Obviously they had testing at Bahrain to get on top of the package. And then they've been second quickest car for most races. This one excluded, to be honest.
So in the same vein as how Aston Martin did it, what's happening at McLaren is this B-spec car is basically the base of the direction we're going to go in moving forward. And it's kind of a move away from what James Key's design was previously over to Pete Prod and having that kind of his control of the design moving forward. And then obviously we've got David Sanchez coming in. We've got a new Rob Marshall as well. This is going to be a change of direction. I wouldn't expect immediate results straight away, but we have to kind of move away from whatever we've got at the moment that we've been rolling with from the beginning of 2020 to now. If that concept's not worked, you just have to scrap it and move forward with something else. And this is going to be the start of another path where you could possibly see a huge jump. Which is
kind of what Mercedes are saying at the minute about their new side pods and floor and all that. It's setting the foundations for like a long-term direction. But do you think that, with the Aston Martin Honda news, Honda there was conversations with McLaren as well. Obviously they've got this works deal. McLaren, you're still a customer team to Mercedes. Like, do you believe this whole like assertion that you can't fight for a championship if you're a customer?
I believe it. I'm one of those people. I know there's other McLaren fans that are not, but I'm very much like, this is extremely worrying to be I would.
The options are, we're losing options now.
Of course,
we are very limited, isn't it? Yeah,
and it's one of those situations where I wouldn't be so worried if it was just 4 factory teams, and then the rest were the fact that Aston Martin has now got a Honda deal. We've got Audi in there as well.
Yep.
That means there's 6 teams that are factory teams, and one of them ain't McLaren. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Because especially because there's an engine change in 2026, it might some teams, I'm not going to say 100% you're going to succeed if you've got an engine. We've seen that with McLaren. We've had an exclusive engine deal with Honda. It did not work, right? And invariably, some of these other teams that have got these engine deals in 2026, it's not going to work for them, right? So is the best bet to say, let's get to 2026, see who's got the best engine, be their customer? Maybe they're just hedging their bets that way, or maybe they're thinking about another direction, maybe waiting on what Andretti is going to be bringing in if they do come into Formula One, if they do get accepted in. And coming
even they were going to run Renault engine.
They were going to run a Renault engine, right? So
at least in the short term.
It's looking like, and for me now, it's looking like they're going to be a customer. But it's really about, do they make the right selection in terms of engine, right?
How do you feel about it, Pete?
And that's the thing. I don't mind us being a customer at this moment in time, because who knows, Mercedes might be the team that actually get this right as soon as 2026 comes in. What if they're the best engine supplier on the grid? You'd rather be with Mercedes than try, maybe let's say, hedge our bets with anybody else.
That's new, especially.
And if you're new, so your Audis and so on, I'm a bit like, pinch of salt. Let's see how well they do, in the new regulations. But for me, I think, McLaren has worked well when it's been second to Mercedes, and even then it's still, the engine is fine. It's just McLaren need to sort out other bits. There's other pieces that are more prominent than the engine itself, and the engine's not that bad.
I would say that right now it feels like there's not too much differential in performance between engines. So from what I understand, speaking to people more intelligent than me, you understand like what the actual breakdown.
Aerodynamics is
like the actual engine isn't making the difference. Like you look at the AlphaTauri that's running the Red Bull powertrain, and that's right towards the back where the Williams is, and you got like the Ferrari's quick, even like the Renault. I mean, maybe Alpine have a terrible chassis, and actually they've got the best engine.
It feels like this is the least difference there's been in terms of like different engine suppliers, I'd say, since the turbo hybrid era.
I guess Aston Martin are using a Mercedes engine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's the one thing I will say in terms of like being a customer team. Obviously, there is a slight disadvantage in the sense that you can't just have that massive burst away from anyone. But if you choose the right engine supplier to be a customer too. You're calm, like realistically.
And McLaren hasn't committed to anybody in 2026.
Yeah.
The deal with Mercedes ends, then they're quite free to pick whoever they feel is the best engine at that time. The problem with McLaren, and we've seen this in the new regs, is that they're just really deficient when it comes to the aero. And a lot of the time, I think it all goes back to the cost cap and then cutting a lot of staff. And then obviously you want to cut the fat and not the muscle, and they've cut the muscle as well. So therefore, there's been a whole progress of getting staff back and hiring people, because it's all well and good having a wind tunnel and having all the facilities and so on, but you need the staff, right?
Yeah.
So these moves are positive moves to make sure that the team is not lacking in terms of aero efficiency.
Well, you're getting on a bit of a poaching spree. Like, is that what you've? So you got David Sanchez coming at the end of this year from Ferrari. You've got now, is it Rob Marshall
coming
from Red Bull,
and then Sanchez, who came from Ferrari. So exactly. So as much as you're right, the facilities weren't there to begin with, and also the personnel we had to re-up again. I think when Stella became like the team principal at McLaren, one of the things that were quite very clear was the side I need to look at is sort of, the engineering side, the aerodynamic side. I need to make sure that this is in place. And the reason why James Key and the like were not there at the launch, for example, clearly Zach and Andrea were having conversations. They were having these conversations from early, knowing that we may have to scrap this car sooner rather than later. And I'm trusting how can I put it? Like the decision making from Zach. Yeah, I'm trusting the process. As you well know, I'm getting used to this. Getting used to this. But I think, the engine thing is quick. When the Aston Martin news came out about Honda, it was very easy to sort of be like panic. But at the same time, it's like, we're running our own little lane here. Aston Martin were here once upon a time when they were getting the right people in the right place. They were sorting out their facilities as well. Now they've kind of got all of those things in place, and off they've gone to the races type of thing. And I think McLaren, it's a matter of time. We just have to now be very, very careful with the moves we made. But I think since the start of the year, I think McLaren has been very, very smart, and I think happy that Seidel and Seidel's kind of sort of started this off when he was moving to Sauber or to Alfa Romeo. It kind of made us buck up our ideas a bit quicker and put things in place. So I'm not necessarily worried at all. As a McLaren fan, you shouldn't be too worried.
Yeah, I think everything now. The reason the McLaren is bad, all the reasons and people that were associated with that are no longer there.
Yeah.
Right? All the stuff around, obviously, Seidel and James Key building that car for 2022 and not really doing too well with it, and then building this car, because obviously he built this year's car last year. That's been trimmed off. That's gone. Obviously, Seidel got his promotion at Sauber and so on, but obviously no blame's going to these guys. Key and Seidel.
And
Seidel is more like, let's shout at Zach rather than shout at those two that are no longer there. Right? And the first thing that Andrea Stella said when he came, that one of the first interviews, he said, I need to look at the aero side and sort this car out. I need to look at the factory. So I'm not happy with the kind of what's going on over there. So the foundations are being set.
Well, look, because you need the right people, and like we were talking about this just before we went live. Like Red Bull, you've got McCulloch from Red Bull. Like, do we think there's somewhat, because there was a quote, wasn't there, from Helmut Marko?
And he was basically saying, like, it's almost like the budget cap or whatever is sort of being the reason now that they're losing staff, because Red Bull are getting pulled apart a little bit.
Like, why are people leaving Red Bull? And it's almost like, once you get to the top, and we saw this a bit with Mercedes, like Eric Blandin, who moved to Aston Martin, big signing, like staff, once you get to the top, I imagine if you're a member of staff, right, and you've worked at Red Bull for years, and you've always been the underdog catching up, and Christian's instilled this kind of underdog mentality. And we talked about this like during the stream as well. Like you can have a big budget, but it's a people game. If you get the right people with a lower budget, they will achieve more than the wrong people with a big budget. I think Toyota 2008, you spent like 600 million a year and
didn't do anything.
It's terrible. So it's like, I think this is now a challenge for Red Bull. And this is part of what was so impressive with Mercedes staying on top for so long. When you're at the top, then it's like, what's next for these? Like, what's next for not just drivers? Because some drivers get to the top and they want to challenge. They want to build up a different team, maybe.
I mean, but that's the thing, is that same mentality is still going to be there for people who work in the sport. You know, there are going to be people who are at Red Bull now who are, you know, see maybe a third season in a row where they're going to win the championship, or like an era of dominance is going to continue, and think, I want to be part of a different project.
Yeah.
And on top of the fact that this pay situation, like you said, I think
Yes.
is
Clarify what you meant by that.
So the conversation was basically around, you know, the today's budget. You know, the top 3 sort of personnel, best paid personnel, do not fall under this budget. And Helmut,
from the cap.
they're excluded from the cap. So Helmut was saying, look, teams are offering double the wages that we are offering our own staff. And then he was quoting to saying, indeed, it's a problem. Above all sums that are offered, sometimes they may get double than what we pay them. So he's kind of put it down to the fact that there's not enough money to pay for these Rob Marshalls and so on.
because they're not top 3, maybe staff members for Red Bull. They are for someone else.
But they could afford it. If other teams can afford it, they can afford it, because most of those wages are come out the budget cap.
Yeah, but
It's just Red Bull don't want to spend.
It is, but I think it's because Red Bull have so many top employees.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's like, you know, when like racing championships, they take away like your 3 worst results at the end of the season and you lose those points. It's almost kind of like that with Red Bull, but the opposite way around. If you have like loads of staff members that are amazing, you could only use that top 3 spot where there's like unlimited funds for a few people. So you can't do it for everyone.
So see it like if Red Bull got their top 3 and they're excluded from the cost cap, your 4th best guy can get offered double wages because he will be included in somebody else's top 3. It's excluded from budget cap.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that's how people can poach your staff.
Yeah.
In that way. So Rob Marshall is probably excluded from McLaren's budget cap. They'll probably hire him as a top 3 within their staff. And then
if you can identify someone as really important and key, that's better than anyone that you have, but isn't in the top 3 of someone else's.
And I guess the justification to someone like McLaren is like, we're spending lots of money out of our budget cap, potentially, maybe not, but potentially out your budget cap to hire someone. And then you're taking them away from a rival.
A weakening.
And it's a people game. It's all a people game. Like you can have... Force India did it for years, massively overachieved based on the budget that they had. I mean, there was times, again, when Red Bull first bought Toro Rosso, they were running 2 teams at less than half the price of like Sauber, BMW.
Yeah, imagine.
For 2 teams.
Yeah.
And achieved like, what, Toro Rosso and Red Bull were like right behind Sauber in the constructors. So
I just think McLaren's approach in the last, since 2012 is to throw money at things.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been any rhyme or reason with the strategy around how they approach it. And now there is a type of reasoning behind it. Okay, look, we've invested in infrastructure. We're getting the right people in to making sure that we've got the right car instead of just throwing 800 million.
There was a year.
A Honda deal.
Exactly. Yeah. There was a year when it was our worst season in like 20 years or so, and we threw the most money that year, more than any other team, and we finished P9.
It's kind of like desperation, isn't it?
In the constructors. Yeah, absolutely.
You think you just throw money at a problem, like you've not got the foundations in place.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, just chuck money at what we're doing already. And obviously that doesn't work.
Yeah,
exactly.
It took them a while to get to that realization, but it's not really working to move forward.
And these teams are operating at such a high level, all of them now. Like pretty much they're all at the budget cap now.
Yeah.
I mean, Aston Martin, look at what they've shown us in the last couple of years. They've been putting the pieces, and the results didn't come yet, but it was almost like once we've dealt with the pieces we need to add, the results will take care of itself. And now they're P2. In the construction, are they P2 still?
No, P3 now.
Is it P3 now? But as in, they're how can we even have a conversation about them being in 2 and 3?
Yeah,
when they were 6 and 7 last year.
And then this time last year they were horrible.
They were awful last year.
Well, look, I mean, so I wanted to talk about this because that was Force India, was Racing Point, and now Aston Martin, and they've just moved into their new gaff.
Yes,
we talked about it for a long time. And they put their old gaff up for, they're auctioning it.
Yeah.
Auctioning it.
Auctioning
it.
Old stuff.
Yeah. And there's some pretty, I've just got it up on my phone.
Doing a car boot sale.
Yeah, man. So you could buy the marble reception desk, which
wow.
Imagine your dream home bar at the back of the garden.
Yeah.
And that is like the bar.
But that is the only use for that.
It's very
if you think about
have
it.
reception in your front door, near your front door.
Yeah,
that looked good in the toilet, actually. They look good in your bathroom. Obviously, you can't
Whose
see.
bathroom is bigger than a reception area?
Look, people
Yeah,
buying
to
this
be
kind of
fair.
stuff have got money.
Okay, no, that's true. That is true.
Just type in like Aston Martin NCM auctions. It's on, and the auctions are live for like 8 more days. I was thinking of like trying to buy something, but most of it's just like.
Is the sign still available?
Like gas compressors.
They had the systems. Who wants
Oh
that?
yeah, go on then.
I need
want
that.
involved.
Look, it's a galvanized air receiver tank. Oh yeah, I really want that.
Galvanized air receiver. That's not
A
fair.
servo test hydraulic pump. Like
Wow.
Look, this isn't glamorous stuff. They're shifting most of it anyway.
Where they selling it?
Just some auction site
Oh,
online.
just auction. Everybody get on there.
Everyone get on.
Mitsubishi inverter condenser.
Wow.
I mean, I like an
Wow.
Evo.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that doesn't look like the usual
that
car.
Do you think
So, yeah.
Gunter Steiner's just on there bidding?
Facts, he definitely is.
I need that.
He's
We need
bidding
that.
half price, hoping that he gets it as well.
He's good. So you got a picnic table. Send a picnic table. Right, down. That's a bit down bad. I don't know.
I don't know. Has it got like?
Has it got the logo?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is the logo there? Because
No. But you can buy.
What? It's just a big
Last
table.
Stroll stat here. Oh my God. I need to buy it.
You could buy a flag pole, and it starting opening bids £20. Flag pole with Spanish flag, and a flag pole with a Canadian flag.
huh?
So £20, we could get the flags in here. I mean, that's the starting bid. No one's bid yet on that one.
I know Drake's buying that pole with the flag. I know he wants it.
Toronto native. I'm just, and also they had the best one is the guest bathroom, which I don't know how you sell a bathroom like entire.
An entire bathroom.
I guess
mate.
yeah, you
No.
can go.
It's a bit rank though.
But
Is it office bathroom? Like everybody's been using this.
No,
and
but
you're
it's
"No, I'm
like
putting
it's
it in my-"
orange and
When-
green still,
because I
so it's
know-
really old. Like
Oh, yeah,
Force India
Force
days.
India.
It's the Force
They even
India.
painted the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
India,
I know what you're about to say. You can buy like a whole bathroom for like IKEA if you want.
Yeah.
But that is a used bathroom.
I'm saying it's dirty, man. Come
From
on.
Force India
That's
days.
the thing. It's not even like
2012,
It's not like
2011.
a pink racing point color. Nothing. It's the Force India.
Force India.
That toilet's been used.
That's
What,
seen
BJ
some-
Malley and them guys. That's peak. That is peak.
bathroom has seen some things, bro. Don't buy that. Don't cop that.
Nah, do you know
Yeah,
what?
but
though?
that's
I'm not gonna
a
lie.
once in a lifetime
might-
purchase,
But
isn't it?
where are you going to put a Force India bathroom? It's a whole bathroom. You can't put a bathroom in the bathroom, bro.
Yeah, because
already
it's
a
a
whole
specific
thing.
size as well. Your room needs to be exactly the right
Yeah.
size to fit that exact bathroom in it.
I'm just trying to think of explaining it to the missus that we're going to bring in a Force India bathroom. What are your
Checo's
thoughts?
arse was on that
decoration.
seat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, just understand that Paul Di Resta sat on. and then
Blake probably friend of the show. Blake
Oh,
used to work.
yeah,
Was it?
yeah,
He probably
yeah,
sat.
true.
Blake, I bet you sat on
up
the toilet.
Blake's bidding already.
Taking
Blake-
long lunch
Blake
breaks
wants
on
it
the
back.
toilet.
Yeah,
Basically, that was my staff toilet when I was there.
I tweeted off that toilet.
Playing a bit of Flappy Bird.
I started my YouTube
Back in
channel
the
on
day.
that.
The sign's not available, is it? There was a front post sign that they had
that's-
outside.
yeah, the entrance.
Yeah, the entrance.
Is that not available?
I don't know. I'm
think it
checking.
is.
Like, I'd standardly get that.
Yeah, it's
put it in
massive
front
though.
door?
I mean, somewhere. Like, I'd put it somewhere.
in the garden.
Again, that's going like man cave.
Doing your
That's
delivery
a-
order.
It's a man
Aston
cave.
Martin sign. Your delivery order. That's where
Do you have an
Look.
Aston Martin? No. but-
It just goes to show. I don't think anyone, well, like no one foresaw the step up from Aston Martin. Now, like this early, like. You know, you can drink the Kool-Aid about like Aston Martin getting to the top with this new facility eventually. They're not even moved in yet, and they're already like, you know, over the course of the whole season, they've been second quickest car. Not today for sure, but like all in all, if Stroll was as close to Fernando as George is to Lewis, then they're P2 in the constructors, aren't they?
And to your point, they were not even as good as Racing Point when Aston Martin kind of came. Do you remember they took steps back? Like,
yeah, they
Racing
stuck
Point was like the sort of P3, P4 team in the constructors, and then when Aston Martin came, they've then they went really back. So to see them jump leaps and bounds that they have, that's what we're hoping that B-spec car is for McLaren. It's
I was going to say that must give you hope,
you know,
right?
No,
Because it's proven it can be done.
it shows that in Formula One progress isn't linear. Oh, you go from 6th 1 year to 5th to 4th.
Yeah.
It's just
And
really
momentum.
about scenario, getting it in the right place. And now we're seeing the effects of the wind tunnel time and the kind of waiting of that. Because last year, Aston Martin must have had loads to work on for this year's car.
100%.
Yeah.
Because of how low they were in the standard,
still have to-
especially in the first half of 2022.
They've still got it till the end of this month.
So
there.
they're really taking advantage of that, and we're going to probably see other teams taking advantage of that as well, because the amount of time they've got, and if you've got the resources combined with that, which Aston Martin does have, in terms of the financial clout as well, and getting all those people in there. They're really taking advantage of it. So for the teams that are traditionally more towards the front of the grid, they must be worried that these guys are poaching your staff and they've got more time in the wind tunnel than them.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say if you're an Aston Martin fan is to be worried about is your driver. Because, okay, Alonso's there, right? And who knows how long he'll remain in the team. But the elephant in the room is and will always be Lance Stroll. Because if all the pieces are right at Aston Martin, which we believe it to be, and if not, they're heading in the right direction, what's the one thing that's going to stop them from winning championships? Constructor or driver?
Well, this is the thing, yeah? Because when does Stroll become a problem for the ambitions of that team? Now
it's fine.
Yeah, now it's fine. And teams internally like to win constructors' titles. Yeah, it's a big morale thing. Mercedes would celebrate the constructors just as much as the drivers' titles.
Yeah.
The money's good, which helps. But it's constructors where it really hurts them.
Yeah.
Drivers-wise, if anything, in some ways it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because then you've got a clear 1-2.
Sure. Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that politics.
Yeah.
And Alonso didn't push Stroll today. He could have gone for the overtake, and he's playing the long game. He wants to stay on the good side. People he needs to stay on the good side of, which is smart, right? He needs to do that. But I guess for me, it's driver's title that people remember. 2008, no one cares Ferrari won the constructors. It's all about Lewis winning, especially because of the story of how it happened, of course. But do you think that? Do you think, what does Lawrence do? Does he get rid of his son and potentially win a constructors, or does he keep his son and potentially not win a constructors but have just as good, if not a better shot at the drivers? I think he keeps Lance in that seat.
Christmas dinner is going to be crazy.
And you know Fernando's going to be there as well.
He is,
You fired me, Dad.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not passing you the gravy at all.
It's going to be...
It's do you know what it is, though? What's the reason Lawrence Stroll bought the team?
There you go.
You have to think always going back.
To win a championship. A driver
with his
championship
son.
for his son.
Yeah.
I think if his son is taken out of the equation, what's his interest there? Because in Formula One, it's a money loss. As a businessman, it's not. It's a kind of like, obviously it's for advertisement and so on. But
man, it's the ultimate.
If he's a businessman, it's a kind of money pit.
The thing is, he could have because he bankrolled he bought Williams basically a wind tunnel to get Stroll in the first place at Williams. He didn't need to, because he bought Aston Martin. He doesn't just own the F1 team. He bought the
company.
Not on his own. Part of a wider group. But so he's a big shareholder in both the racing team and the car maker. It's like McLaren. You make road cars and you have an F1 team. You have a racing team. So there's a distinct difference there. And obviously him putting the Aston Martin brand on the F1 team that he wanted to buy, he'd been trying to buy a team for a while, and then the opportunity presented itself with, Force India Force India out going up Swanee with Mario in charge. Do you think it's to win his son a title, or is it just to get him in F1? Because Stroll's not good enough to win a title unless he's got a massive car advantage. That's not controversial to say. Come on.
It's not controversial. If Stroll, let's say, for example, lost interest. Let's say Stroll.
No, it's not.
Let's say Stroll said, "I don't want to be in F1 anymore. I want to go do IndyCar, whatever." He's going to sell he'll sell the Formula One team.
No, but surely he's more invested now because he owns Aston Martin.
He'll go buy an IndyCar team.
I think that's a good point when he was at Williams, but now he wants Aston Martin to be he's invested millions and millions in Aston Martin. And so having them succeed in Formula One it's not just about his son now. That's what I'm saying.
We'll see
because at Williams it wasn't a business decision. It was purely a personal. I'm losing money to get Lance an opportunity. Yeah. But now it's a business decision that will be seen on his legacy. He's a business winner. That's how he's But you can see it.
If it gets to the opportunity where, let's say for example, titles there, they've got a fast car. Let's say like a Red Bull.
Yeah.
And then it's Alonso versus Stroll. He's going to want his son to win over Alonso.
Well, of course he'd prefer it, yeah.
He'd prefer it, but he may...
But I think he'll sabotage,
put some mechanics... No, kind of give him the good mechanics to Stroll, try to favour it that way. I feel like his motivation is for his son.
It's a different one, isn't it?
I feel like this isn't a business decision because for Formula One is not like I can make loads of money if I buy a Formula One team.
Yeah.
It's more of a kind of like marketing tool. That's what a lot of these companies get into to sell their road cars, right?
Yeah.
He's probably selling a lot of Aston Martins because they own Aston Martin. And if Aston Martin do better, he can make money.
This is why
But he's losing money in Formula One by investing in these things.
I'm understanding the situation now. Fernando Alonso has come into that team and realised what he's up against.
Exactly.
If he ends up in a title-winning situation, Lance Stroll is going to end up getting favourable mechanics, this and that, whatever, because Lawrence owns the team. If Fernando acts like Lance's dad, maybe Lance will choose Fernando over his own
You're
dad.
my new father.
You're my
Part of
new
the family.
dad. You're part of the family.
My
That's
Spanish
what it
daddy.
is.
Yeah.
That's what
I've
it
never
is.
seen Alonso
Puppy.
behave like this because he's aware of the environment he's in.
It is crazy,
That's
isn't
the
it?
thing.
And I reckon the environment is obviously not the probably mechanics or stuff like that. I'm talking about the upper where Lawrence Stroll is. And you've seen on Drive to Survive how he commands a room.
Yeah.
It's probably favoured towards Lance. And he
man.
has to tiptoe around that situation.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in some of these conversations, man. There's such an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I genuinely think Lawrence is going to drop the ball with this because I think he's going to go more pro-son than anything else, especially because as in like
Pro-blood.
As in, yeah, and
Fuck
you know,
the son,
listen, like, you know, circumstances can change. Like your expectations can change over the course of a season or over your course of your because you know when he was at Williams, as you mentioned, I don't think he foresaw where he is now. As much as that was the ambition, it's the fact that it's actually come now and it's at this quick stage. He would be ludicrous, but I think he is ludicrous. I think he will literally, the ball is there for them to pick it up and win, but will favour Lance over Fernando. And Fernando, to be fair, I don't know, like, will he hang around by 26 or whenever it may be, 27, 25, you know, will he be there is another question. And also, it will be, we will learn more about Lawrence when he has to make the next driver decision. You will learn a lot more about him then.
But like Lawrence is clearly instilling a belief in Alonso right now that Alonso, if the opportunity presents itself, Alonso will be allowed to fight for that opportunity, at least in even machinery, because he doesn't see Lance as a
Threat.
as a threat at all.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's part of the way he's been articulating himself. He can, because he knows like he can play the long game today. He doesn't have to fight tooth and nail for 2 points where last year we had Max like outwardly, disregarding the team and like creating a situation for the sake of 2 points.
Yeah.
Alonso was like, I'm fine. I'm just going to wave to the fans on the last lap and drive one-handed around the final sector. It was.
But like you said, if Aston Martin do win, if Alonso does win a title, that's still everybody cares about the driver's title, right? So it still gives them the advertisement they need to sell Aston Martin cars.
Yeah, we were saying you were saying earlier, right? 2013. You said you didn't even watch that second half of the season at the end because Vettel was just checked out. But it wasn't like Webber was second every race.
Yeah.
Like in the right hands of the right
Yeah, you can still win constructors as well.
Yeah, exactly, because you can have such advantage with the car at the front. Like Aston Martin, the fact they were still ahead of Mercedes before this race.
I think, do you know what it is? Yeah, I think with Lawrence Stroll, he's made the decision now that I'm all in terms of the team.
Yeah.
Look at the amount of money they spent on the infrastructure, this new factory they've moved into and so on. Clearly, he's in it for at least till like 2027, 2028.
Yeah.
In terms
His thing could be...
And obviously, those type of things increases the value of the team. So when he does need to sell it, he makes some money out.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, there is it's not just Lawrence at the top.
Yeah,
there is
obviously
a board of some kind. So,
But he's increasing the value for stakeholders.
He's a figure. Like you see him walk through the paddock, like he cuts a figure.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Like he's got ways of getting his way.
I think all the talk about, they might have to drop Stroll, that's premature. That's never going to happen.
I agree.
No, he will never
going to ever happen.
I don't think he will ever drop Stroll, but that will be to his detriment. And the thing is,
Another son.
he's using like when they dropped Perez,
Secret new son.
like when they dropped
Lannon Stroll.
like when they dropped Perez at the end of 2020 to get Sebastian Vettel in, and it was like I need to lift the profile of this team and bring him to a certain point. And once he's got them there, hence Alonso as well. When Sebastian decided to leave, I think literally is when he's going to be like, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for all bringing us to this level. Now my son takes over again. That's why I don't think they'll win a championship because of that situation right there.
Them dropping Perez, that's your indicator right there.
That's
That's
true.
your indicator.
That did speak volumes, didn't it?
of what their decision making is.
Considering how
final.
bad a season Vettel had just had and how amazing a season Checo just had.
And they were just like, no, we need to get rid of Perez. Even though Perez performed better than Stroll in that season.
Yeah.
The thing is,
Arguably driver of the year.
Well, yeah, because that culminated in the win at Bahrain as well, right?
And we saw the season Vettel had in 2020.
Yeah.
It was horrible, and he still signed him over Perez.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, it's a political game, isn't it? It's a
political game.
But it's just like there's extra levels of that in this instance. Isn't there?
I don't think Formula One is a meritocracy in that way that people feel like, oh, he deserves that seat or he earned that seat that way.
Facts.
That's not in the decision making.
Yeah.
A lot of the times when people sign drivers, it's not about the performance they did the year before. It's more about, does it fit my idea of what I want to be doing in the future?
Yeah. Well, look, at the end of the day, this has just been round 7 now of this year. So we're kind of about a third of the way in 22 races.
Yeah, roughly.
So wanted to have a little reflect. What we're going to do, I want each of us to have our top 3 drivers in mind. Top 3, I guess, bottles, most disappointing, worst drives, right? Obviously, it's all relative depending on your car, right? But before we did that, I wanted to just remind everyone of the quali head-to-heads. Because I think obviously quali pace it's the most pure form of direct pace comparison.
Yeah, because someone might retire in a race, get taken out, it might not be their fault, whatever. But in terms of qualifying, usually it's pretty much
Spot on.
yeah,
Exactly.
in terms of the split.
So to be fair, compared to a lot of seasons, because I've always followed it on Twitter, I always do like a run-in.
Yeah.
And it's been a little bit more. I'll show you lads so you can see. So the only whitewash so far has been Albon on Sargent.
Fair enough.
expected.
Yeah.
But to be fair, Sargent did go quicker in Saudi, but went over the line.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. So there's kind of 6-1. And then Alonso, Stroll, Norris, Piastri is 6-1.
They're very close to each other. Talking about within a tenth.
Which is, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, Norris and Piastri are quite close, but it's still 6-1.
Yeah.
Alonso and Stroll's quite a big gap, but that's 6-1 as well.
Yeah.
And then Tsunoda, De Vries, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Verstappen, Perez are all 5-2. And then Russell, Hamilton, Leclerc, Sainz, Ocon, Gasly, Bottas, Joe are all 4-3. So they're quite even. I mean, based off what we've seen so far, what names are coming to... I know one name that you have...
Yeah.
But I feel like he might be your number one. He might be your number one.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I think let's maybe start with our number 3s.
Who you got as a 3?
Most
disappointing.
Top 3 most
top
disappointing.
3 most disappointing.
Okay, I'm going to say Logan Sargent. He's not really lived up to the expectation. Obviously, he had a lot of pace in F2.
Yeah, Bahrain was good.
Bahrain, he was good. Saw that in person. He was really good,
actually.
honestly. But I feel like he's just trying to get to grips with it, and it's not really happening. Especially his tire deck is falling off a cliff compared to Albon. Maybe just Albon's experience is shining over him a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do believe it will get better. But for now, for people that haven't seen Logan Sargent before, it's not looking particularly good.
That's actually a good
That's
point.
the problem.
If you're someone who doesn't watch F2, you're
exactly.
seeing him come in and go, man,
What's going on?
yeah, he's a bit average still. He was about 20 odd seconds off Albon at the end of the race just then. Similar last week. Probably even more potentially last week. There's been some pretty mad gaps at the end of races. Again, tyre deck is a big thing. I think he's been struggling with the tyres a little bit. He's made quite a few mistakes in terms of going off, but he's a rookie and pushing the boundaries. So you kind of expect that from him. But I think I'd be more concerned if I was Logan looking at the actual classification at the end of a weekend and going, shit, I am 25 seconds
The gaps
off
have been
Albon.
big.
That's mad.
I put him third because obviously he's a rookie. I don't want to be too harsh.
Yeah, fact.
I want to give him at least half a season to kind of bed in. If he's still doing this type of stuff near Brazil AD, then we might have an issue.
Has anyone else got Sargent in their 3? I haven't.
No, I didn't.
He's there. He's up there. He's sniffing around the podium, but he's not on it.
He's not on the podium.
He's in the battle, though. Well, I don't know who I would put number 3, to be fair.
Pete?
My 3rd is going to be Nick De Vries because I expected so much more from him this season. I don't know whether... Is he a rookie this season?
Nah.
What do we say?
I'm not calling him rookie.
No, because he doesn't want to be called a rookie. So if he doesn't want to be called a rookie, then I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt in that situation.
He's a big man.
He is. He's like
He is
28.
a big man. Yeah, he's a big man. But
He's a big man. He's older than a lot of drivers. He's got more driving experience t's a lot of drivers on the team.
Facts. Yeah, he's had on my life, he's probably had his license for 9 years. Logan Sargent's had his for like 3.
He's
Like,
2.5 years
actual
older than
driving
Charles
license.
Leclerc.
2.5 older than Charles. See, the thing is, like, okay, so he came in Monza in that Williams, got points, and there's so many caveats with that
Result.
weekend and that result, because we could argue Albon would have got the points too had he been in that Williams in Monza.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
And I don't know which car performs better, the AlphaTauri or the Williams. I don't really know which is the better
Monza,
car.
it's definitely the Williams.
Well, yeah, no, as in, and what I'm saying is
right now.
overall,
Smooth,
Yeah.
floor, you know?
yeah, that
that
bold
straight line
floor.
Nothing to slow it down.
Yeah. So like you almost want. I look at De Vries as a rookie this year, personally speaking, because he had only one race, and it's a bit like, you know what, he hasn't done a full season. I can't really judge him too tough. So I'm putting him there just so that I'm saying, look, I'm still disappointed with him because he's not even sniffing points. He has no points this season alongside.
He's not even close.
Alongside, yeah, he's not near it either. So
I'm putting him as the worst.
is he on
You're
number
putting
one?
him number 1.
Wow.
He's not.
He's gone straight in.
He's not the F1 quality right now. I expected high off him, but Yuki's manhandling him. He's absolutely manhandling him.
Yeah, no.
And that's not something that you would associate Yuki Tsunoda.
Well, I get it, yeah, because Yuki hasn't built that stock yet. As
Yeah.
much as we're all Yuki lovers, like we believe in, he's not like proven. Like it's been difficult because he's, Gasly, violated him first year. It was much closer second year, and he is somewhat like again Canada.
Yeah,
like,
he's
last year,
a bit
Silverstone
incident
last year when he
prone.
took
But
that.
Yuki's fighting for his life. There's a difference because Yuki was probably the most under pressure driver before any cars touched the track this season.
Yeah.
He was probably the one that you thought, if he doesn't have a good season or have a season that's worthy of note, he will be the one in trouble. He'll be the one losing his seat.
There's 14 Red Bull Juniors ready to
take his spot.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Which hasn't
So-
always been the case. Again,
No.
when like Albon and Kvyat got back in that,
There was no one. Yeah.
that's because they had like so few options.
So when you're fighting against a guy who's got his life on the line versus, I would call a rookie, even though he is 8 years of age, and has driven a F1 car before, I still think like the reason
Many
why we're
F1 cars
seeing
before.
the reason I think we're seeing Yuki dunking on De Vries is because I think Yuki is going all the way. He's at his limit. He's at his limit at this moment.
But I just base it on the expectations of people. A lot of people were saying De Vries will beat Yuki Tsunoda.
I'm not going to lie. When he got the
He's
drive,
performing way below
yeah.
expectations.
When he got the drive, I was like, he deserves it. Because based off his career,
he deserved a shot, yeah.
yeah, he definitely deserves a shot. I completely like, he won F2 and didn't get a shot then, which is obviously like a bit criminal anyway.
Sure.
Went off, won Formula E, whatever circumstances, but at the end of the day, he's a very experienced driver. And then has tested bare different F1 cars.
Like every Mercedes power.
Every single Mercedes powered car. You could probably drove the safety car at one point as well. and then came in one race, got a point in Monza, calm. It's good. It's a good like track record, literally.
2 points?
Yeah. Oh, was it 2 points?
I think he finished ninth.
Oh yeah, because it was
Monza,
Ricardo
yeah.
retired like late on.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Latifi got 3 points in Suzuka. No. Latifi got 4 points, I think, in Suzuka.
Yeah,
Because then
Right.
Williams outscored Alfa Romeo in that second half of that season.
Yeah.
But like,
mad.
I remember thinking, yeah, he deserves that seat. If I'm being real, in terms of expectations, I think he has to be the most disappointing because I don't even consider Yuki. I love Yuki, but don't consider him a top driver. I consider him a
not
good
yet.
driver, but even for the midfield, there's other drive. If you give me a team that's got to finish 5th in the Constructors' Championship, I'm probably not choosing Yuki Tsunoda as one of my drivers, to be real.
Okay.
But he is slapping De Vries, and De Vries has not even come close to a point. So I know that he's a rookie, but it's not like he's not driven F1 cars.
Yeah.
He's got way more experience in F1 car than Piastri does, than Sargent does.
Yeah.
Piastri's been way more impressive
Yeah.
in a McLaren car that's struggled at times as well. I don't know. I just think for me, yeah,
Where's De Vries on your list?
he might be joint first, you know.
Yeah, my one is first.
He might. There's two people sharing the podium for me, and
Okay, so my third, I don't know if this drive will be on yours. I think Magnussen's been pretty disappointing. Considering Hulkenberg's just come back into this team.
yeah.
Like,
I really
think,
hate
in qualifying
Yeah.
again,
Qualifying is
big,
getting it.
like 6/10 I think it was.
Yeah.
Quali.
Great.
Their
gap's
average
big.
quali gap, I think's been the biggest. I think I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's been the biggest of any two teammates.
Wow.
Like it's significant. And yeah, I mean, Hulkenberg's putting that car in positions where, it doesn't. Yes, obviously Magnussen's had his moments. Like last year, obviously Brazil was fantastic, and I think Magnussen's a great driver. But Hulkenberg's been. I thought it would be pretty much exactly even, And
Yeah,
like
and
Hulkenberg
Hulkenberg's
has
been
been quite considerably more impressive when you add the context of he's just come back after 3 years without a full-time seat.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I actually kind of forgot Magnussen was even involved. Like that's how bad his season's actually been.
Yeah.
You're right.
He's been
Obviously
back.
a bit
He's
anonymous
definitely
as well,
top 5 for me. He's been back.
You wonder though, is it because of Magnussen what he had last year as competition compared to this year? But then the point is, Hulkenberg's of his first year back.
Hulkenberg's a great qualifier.
Yeah.
He's always been a great qualifier.
Yeah.
I mean, again, when he had that opportunity to get on the podium, maybe even win in Brazil in 2012, it was because he fucking nailed it in qualifying.
Absolutely.
And that's always been a feather in his cap. So I think he is definitely the better qualifier than Magnussen. And I think in races they're probably about even, but where it's so competitive at the minute, those extra few positions on average, he's starting ahead of Magnussen. He's paying dividends and he's finishing in much stronger. And again, it's his first year at the team. So like when you add that into the mix, and he's older as well. So you'd think Magnussen's got something to prove. He's still got time. But
Is there an argument for Leclerc?
Uncomfortable conversations.
Here we go.
Yeah.
It's time to start a dialogue.
there's definitely an argument you could make to an extent. I think some of the mistakes he's made and him driving the way he does, and he's responsible for not putting the car into a wall, and he does it too often. And yes, Ferrari don't help themselves. Miami, prime example. I mean, the car blew up in Bahrain, nothing to do with him.
Yeah, fair. And the engine, for what it's worth, there are some things that have been out of his control.
But I guess, if we're thinking disappointing relative to expectations, the level of driver that Charles, I consider Charles to be, most of us consider Charles to be, he's not reached those heights, but I couldn't put him in my top 3.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't put him in my top 3, but even what did Fred say this week? He said about Monaco, like we were only 0.1 off Max Verstappen in qualifying in Monaco. The car's fine. So he's basically throwing his drivers under the bus, saying basically,
interesting.
You lot are be faster.
Yeah, you guys just need to start stepping up.
Just drive better.
I wouldn't say, look, these guys are driving to 100% maximum, especially Leclerc. I don't think he's operating at 100%, but I feel that's because you haven't provided him the material.
Have I sold Magnussen top 3 for an
Magnussen, I'm not doing. He's not my top 3.
Is it? It's a shout.
There's another guy in the
Magnussen actually, you know what it is? Magnussen just doesn't even deserve to be. He doesn't actually deserve to be in the conversation that's a top 3 of anything.
The same with the Leclerc situation. I think there is 2 more people that I'd throw in there before I put Leclerc in there, especially because of the caveats of the car itself, the team. I mean, I'm a McLaren fan, hardcore, and I hate Ferrari, but I'm bored of talking about Ferrari. I'm bored of laughing at Ferrari. It's just like at some point, even move on next. You know what I mean? Like I can't really be bothered to talk about Ferrari, but I have to put in second. Third was Magnussen for you, yeah.
First
in second place for me. Have we all done 3s, by the way? We all did.
Yeah.
In terms of what you were mentioning about Charles, I'm looking at Sergio Perez because he's got the fastest car on the grid. He has the fastest car on the grid, and look at what he isn't doing.
A dialogue.
Look at what it has to start.
We have started.
If we're bringing Charles, even having a conversation in this, Sergio Perez is P2 in this conversation.
No,
he's too far away. He's too far behind.
He won races though, plural.
He's too far behind Max Verstappen.
He's won 2 in 7. He's had 2 stinky qualifying this time.
Can I just say the reason why I will entertain this as a topic,
entertain it.
I will entertain this.
No, we've got to entertain it. This is conversation, we've got to entertain.
The reason I will is because of the stinkers that he's had were his own fault.
Yeah.
Firmly.
If we look at somebody else.
We look at Leclerc and go, yeah, his engine blew up, and then there was the penalties, and then the team kind of stiffed him in Monaco. Calm. He's having a stinker, but it's disappointing. Sergio Perez binned it in Australia at the back. Sergio Perez binned it in Spain. I'm Q2.
Monaco crashed in qualifying.
Of course, yeah. I've even forgot about. Yeah, he's there. He's third. Sorry, I'm sorry about that. He's there.
Here's the facts. He's nearly 60 points behind Max after 7 races in the same car.
We're in June.
It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
June makes it worse though. We even sacked off Italy.
Yeah, you're saying
Didn't even
there was no China. There was no China nor no Imola.
Oh,
We
imagine
sacked
there was
two
China
races.
there as well.
He'd
We
be
sacked
like
two
90
races.
points behind.
Exactly. He's in the same car. Like, I'm not saying he should be ahead of Max Verstappen. I'm just saying.
Where should he be relative to Verstappen to not? Because look, obviously we've said this. Like Max is an alien right now. He's driving the wheels off this Red Bull, and I don't think anyone in F1 can touch Max Verstappen right now. So, how close is it reasonable to expect Checo to be? I guess that's what
At
I'm
this
saying.
point, 30 points.
For me, sub 20, 15 points.
Like P2 every.
So he
race.
has to be P2 minimum. every race.
If he's not winning, he has to be P2.
Look, we talked about this on live stream, right? If it's not the Red Bull car is only dominant when it's in the hands of Max.
It's not dominant in Perez' hand at all.
No. If
Is
two
that not
Sergio
true?
Perez's
Is that
were
not
driving,
true?
Agreed.
if two Sergio Perez's were driving for Red Bull, they'd still be leading the constructors.
Correct.
Probably,
Would it be dominant?
but it wouldn't be dominant.
Would it be massive gaps at the front?
No,
You'd have had a
Every
different
probably
single
winning
race.
by like 8 seconds or
Yeah,
7
you'd have had a
seconds.
Ferrari you'd have had Aston win a race by now or something.
And look, my argument isn't that he's not fast enough. My argument is the mistakes are far too many for a team at that level.
3 in what 7?
Seven.
3 in 7 qualifying sessions.
We're
That's
laughing at Charles for
crazy.
that. We are laughing at Charles for
Charles
those,
hasn't
for
even
those
done
things.
that,
and he hasn't even.
Charles
done
only binned it once, right? And that was Miami.
Yeah.
I need to work out
And
who's.
Spain.
I need to work out who's out qualified him in this season, apart from Max.
Yeah.
I need to see what other cars have
Checo's
out-qualified.
issue in Australia qualifying was a bit on the car.
Was a
wasn't
break.
it?
Yeah, a bit
that
on
was
the
like
break thing.
the car dragging forward. Yeah,
And I love Checo. That's the reason I think I've put him in here. Is I love him and I want him to do well. I want him to challenge Max.
expect more.
He's the only one that's going to fight for this title, if anybody, right?
He can't be the number 2.
if you're just
You know why he can't be the number 2?
5-3.
He's my number.
Nah, not number 2. I think there's if you're just being outpaced by Max Verstappen, that's going to happen.
Whatever, yeah.
That's just gonna happen.
But yeah, the mistakes and then him having to come through the field and not even being on the podium for this race in the Red Bull. Again, when Max is comfortably finishing, 20 seconds ahead.
Did we even know Checo to be like this? That's the other thing. This is a year where it's very uncharacteristic of him. Before,
I don't think he's been good at quali.
not that good. Not mistakes. I'm talking about.
Mistakes.
As in, he's always.
think he's.
Ocon battered him in 2018. Just saying.
2018. Yeah, okay, fair enough. No, and Ocon's quick as well, right? But like, I'm seeing like now the heat is on.
Yeah.
He's had a little tuffle with Max from last season.
Yeah.
And he's crumbling under the pressure.
Yeah, you've seen. There's definitely been a weaknesses in his performance. I feel like you've seen it in these last few races. Once that initial what was maybe Australia was the kind of
The first thing.
that kind of got in his head a bit. I don't know.
Yeah, but he came back. He bounced back in Baku,
Yeah,
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, and you thought, oh, okay, here we are.
and that was like he won on pure pace.
Yeah, no, true.
I'm like,
No, you're right.
it's just. Obviously, he's not a better driver than Max Verstappen. This is just how it's going to look, man. He's going to make you look bad. This is what
Not
Max does.
57 points.
Max is out here ending careers. We've seen this, man. He puts man in.
Max is not making Sergio crash. Maybe the pressure.
Yeah, it's the pressure.
but-
It's the pressure.
He's 57 points behind race 7.
All right. No, we're not talking about the elephant in the room. There's another driver we ain't spoke about.
There is. And for me, there was one.
He might be finished.
Oh,
Nice. I like that. He is nationality-wise and ability-wise finished, bro. Valtteri Bottas.
That's my number 1.
He's my number 1 as
my
well.
number 1.
De Vries is joint number 1 for
Okay.
me. It's a they're sharing that award. But Bottas, it was interesting actually looking at the qualifying thing because it was 4-3. Was it to Bottas?
So,
Or was it
yes.
4-3 to Zhou? It was 4-3 either way. It's quite
4-3
close.
to Bottas.
4-3 to what?
But I look at the race results and I look at some of the performances that Bottas has put in this season and they stink. Now that Alfa Romeo is not great. Don't get it twisted. That Alfa Romeo is shocking. And they've got 8 points between them?
They're both on 4 points.
They're both on 4, right? Bottas got 4 in Bahrain. I was kind of like, cool. All right, Alfa Romeo, they are where they usually are. They'll pick up a couple points every now and again, but they'll probably finish 8th in the championship. But since then, Bottas has been shocking. And for me, I know Zhou has had an entire season now in Formula One, but with the experience and actual ability that Bottas has, I know he got a bit of a rap whilst he was at Mercedes, but he is a very good driver. For the ability and the experience that Bottas has, he is not performing anywhere near where he should be at all.
Nowhere near.
Like Zhou peppered him today. Peppered him. Zhou finished 8th. Bottas was last, I'm pretty sure. Bar 1, maybe. And he was like about half a minute, 40 seconds probably off Zhou.
He was I just saw his name just dropping down the time screens. But
Carry on. I want to see if he had an issue.
I want to see what his
we have to
qualifying
find
is
out.
as well. His qualifying.
We have to find out if he had an issue. Did he have an issue in Saudi when he did the same thing, when he just dropped all the way back to like? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe now he's back in the midfield. He's like, or not even the midfield, right towards the back. He's like, I'm in a dogfight now.
Yeah.
I wasn't like this when I was at Mercedes. I didn't have to really cope with that. I was just driving by myself while Lewis was up the road.
The thing is,
Like now we're seeing, look, he was underperforming at the end of his Mercedes stint.
Yeah, definitely.
He was in the midfield. I'm like, you're in a Mercedes.
yeah. Oh my God. Some of those last races at Mercedes
Yeah.
from Bottas were criminal.
And it's
Those
just
last
like
couple of
carrying on.
I think
to his Alfa Romeo career.
the one thing I will say, is the reason why there's extra, to be honest, based off just pure performance, it would be De Vries for me. The added element is that Alfa Romeo need that experience. They need.
That's what they signed.
That's what they signed.
You're
him
a
to
race
do,
winner, yeah.
Was you're a race winner. You've got experience. We need you to build this. Help us build
That
this
was like
team
on
from the
the
ground up.
ingredients that was listed.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
Out-qualified Lewis 30% of the time over 5 years together, whatever.
yeah.
Right?
Will beat
That's
Zhou,
what you
but will
expect.
teach him stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's what you expect him to do. You don't expect him to get beaten by 40
Yeah.
seconds
Mind
by
you-
a guy who made his debut a year ago.
He's not qualifying like where Hulkenberg is qualifying.
Yeah.
No.
That's what you expect from him, though. You would
I
expect that
need
level
Bottas to be getting Q2 every weekend.
I'm challenging that.
I'll be
Why
honest.
did you expect that?
because
I'm challenging that.
I hear that logic, though. I
Do you
hear
understand?
the lack of expectation.
Yeah, you're getting the Kimi Räikkönen Sauber, aren't you? This is what you're getting. You're getting a driver who's very much comfortable. There's no need for a fight of any
But this
kind.
is
But
worse
Kimmy's
than Kimi
rat
Räikkönen.
at the end of his career.
Kimi,
But then this is worse. This is
Kimi-
worse than what
I
Kimi
mean,
Räikkönen
and
was
Kimi
doing, though.
used to bring it out the
Bottas
back
was
sometimes.
unreal at Williams, by the way.
Yeah.
So he proven he can do it in midfield, lower midfield. Take the opportunities when they present.
How long are you going back here? We're talking 6 years plus.
Yeah,
He's not used to it anymore.
I think that Mercedes stint definitely has left a lasting impact of some sort in how he.
Orange coin was down.
What year was it when he just got battered in that Mercedes? I mean, I don't know if it was 17 or 18. There was a year when he absolutely got battered, and because it's like, Mercedes dominance is kind of just it's like a lull at some point.
Yeah.
That there was a year when he was absolutely creamed, and it was like, do you know what? He's not really in, and that's why we start getting these 2.0s in the pandemic and 3.0. It became like 8.5.
We win Australia like all the time. Like, early season
I'm
gap.
different. I'm
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Every time before the beginning of the season.
I'm different.
But we swear I'm different.
We know you're not.
And he would win the first race, wouldn't he? He would actually win a race in the first three or whatever. But
And again, look, there were times that Mercedes, just like now with the Red Bull, that Mercedes was only dominant in the hands of Lewis. It was never dominant in the hands of Valtteri. Max outscored Valtteri on numerous. He was the filling in the sandwich.
He's on day one.
Yes,
Yeah,
and I think that's what we're seeing kind of now with Checo. Like that is, I feel that's quite an equivalent.
You think so?
I see a lot of parallels.
It's not quite as bad for me because I think there were genuine times where Valtteri was like, I mean, especially if we talk about 2020, like that
2020.
I think
story.
I think Bottas in the races, especially in a Mercedes, especially the last year, he was so bad. Perez tends to move forwards.
That Baku one.
Baku, but Bottas goes backwards.
Mate, even Imola, he crashed with George Russell. Why
Why
the
are you
fuck were
with
they
George?
even in the same place? You know what I'm saying?
The Williams of George Russell, by the way.
I guess the point is that
like,
the point is, what you've said. Like with all that stuff, why were our expectations higher?
Yeah.
I do hear that logic.
That's my only argument. Don't get me wrong, he's number one on my list, but I don't have the expectations.
Maybe like we heard a lot about him being at Mercedes, only being on like 1 year deals, kind of like carry it along. So he was fighting for his life every year to stay at Mercedes.
He ain't fighting for
and
anything
then,
now.
and then he's got this Alfa Romeo deal, and it's like 3 years since let me relax now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna chill out.
I just feel like I can
don't feel the
understand.
pressure.
I understood the decision to sign Bottas from Alfa Romeo, and I think
They were
surely,
desperate, innit? They were desperate. They needed
maybe.
because they lost two drivers, didn't they?
Yeah, Gio and Kimi.
Who's leading the development on that car? Because it's not good.
No, I think
If Bottas was there all last year for the car to be this year, it's not good.
Again, this is another thing. Like that's what they hired. That's what they signed up for when they hired
What,
him.
Bottas leading your development.
Well, there you go then. Here we
They were
are.
in the trenches. They
And
were
here
in
we
the
are then.
trenches, though, weren't they?
Yeah.
'Cause who
We
else?
can't really like even attacking him feels bad because I'm like, well, let's actually think about this. Should we even be, should it even be the case? Like, he's not really. Is he underperforming in the Alfa Romeo? Genuinely speaking,
Relative to my expectations,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
why
I
It's
get
not,
what you're
it's
saying,
not a
but
good
I still
car.
feel like he showed you don't out-qualify Lewis Hamilton, arguably the greatest to ever do it, statistically the greatest ever to do it, 30% of the time over the course of that period.
Right.
And then
That's
get battered by
significant.
Guan Yu
Yeah.
Zhou.
That is significant.
So now we're seeing it crystal clear. Like the quali's dropped off as well.
Yeah.
The race pace wasn't really there in general. Now the quali's dropped off as well.
Yeah.
Which is why I think.
So
he's
now
at
it's
the beach.
becoming more apparent to us.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm sorry, the racecraft has never been there for me.
No, never. As soon as
he
I
left
saw that
Williams,
Baku clip, when I saw that Baku clip, I was like, this guy. I remember thinking, because I think that was after it was confirmed that he was.
Yeah.
Was it? Was it after?
Oh, no,
it was
I think it was
confirmed?
before.
It was before, but it was.
I think it
there
got
was like
confirmed
actual-
Williams in the summer.
Because it got confirmed. Was that no? It wasn't at Silverstone. It was the week after. Was it Spa?
Yeah,
It was way
Spa.
after Baku.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before.
George
Yeah,
and
Baku
Toto
was
having
before.
conversations behind storage units.
That was crazy.
And then a Netflix
Ready,
camera
yeah.
just there.
I just remember thinking.
To be there.
You do it again, please.
Wake up this time.
I just remember thinking when I saw that video the first time, I was like, this guy's gonna be cooked. This guy's gonna get cooked if he actually starts.
We saw him in Mexico. Often you kind of hold up Max. Max just went down the outside.
See you later. Yeah.
See ya.
No, this is all feeding into what you're saying, Pete. Like these are all reasons for us to maybe we shouldn't have had the expectations. I shouldn't have had the expectations I did for Bottas. But like on his day,
he's still my number one man.
he would do bits, and again, first race of this year, did really well. But like the consistency, I guess when's the last time Valtteri's been consistent? Is when he was at Williams. That's a long time ago.
Wow.
His results, by the way, are 18th, 11th, 18th, 13th.
Yeah, Joe's been in the points twice.
Yeah.
Only once for Valtteri. Yeah, look, again, I mean,
This is not good.
It's not good.
Not looking good.
That's
bruv.
why he's number one. Don't get me wrong. This is why he's number one.
Joe with a couple 16ths as well,
think-
but that Alpha is poor.
I think
Maybe we've been hard.
We've talked. Let's re-go over our final three. Now we've talked about everyone because I feel like, is there any other names that we haven't?
Who's my?
I've gone. I know my three. My three.
Yeah, I've got that.
I would.
Oh,
I want to have a conversation soon about Gasly, but
I was going to say
yet.
Gasly. I was going to
Not
say
yet.
Gasly's he's on the curb, but it's not time.
We're having observations.
He's been
not-
invited
yeah.
to the conference, but he's not.
he did.
We're setting an
out-qualify.
assignment out.
He's in the lobby area. He's not yet invited inside, but he's in the lobby.
We're just keeping an eye.
We're keeping an eye. Okay.
He out-qualified
He's on the
Ocon,
street.
didn't
He's just outside.
But then he got the penalty.
He got the penalty. Yeah.
But listen,
But that wasn't
Gasly,
really
isn't
his
it?
fault, that.
That's
What
Gasly
was it?
this year.
Kind of-
It's
He's
like
up and
bound.
down. He's very up and down.
But his first year at the team.
We don't.
That's
And that's the other
that's
thing.
why I'm giving him
And
grace.
that's the other thing as well.
Okay.
Like I said, end of the season, I need to have a word.
Yeah.
Let's see where he's at.
You can't tell me what Gasly is. That's the worst thing about it. It's
Nah, you know what? You're right. Like, he's not had the caliber of teammates that Ocon's had. Nowhere near.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I've got a much clearer idea in my mind of where Ocon is as a driver. I feel like I can speak more confidently about Ocon being underrated because you look at his. What?
Sorry, hang on a second. What name we've just completely blissfully been unaware to?
Is there a bait one?
Are we not going to talk about Lance? Just a little. I know we spoke about him
He's in the lobby.
earlier, but
He's in the lobby.
he's definitely in the elevator.
He's in the
Yeah,
lobby.
we did.
but-
He's on the way.
He's been called up.
Yeah, he's been called up. The meeting is taking place on the 4th floor. He's on the 3rd right now in the elevator.
He's pressed the button, but he's not got the fob, so he can't.
Because you have to remember, he's in an Aston Martin.
Bro, the standings up to Monaco, Spain hasn't been added to that, but 27 points compared to 93.
Yeah.
Are we mental? That's
Alonso
like less
on
than
the
a
podium.
third.
Alonso on the podium. Like majority of the time.
Every time bar one. Stroll obviously had a breakdown in Saudi Arabia.
was
Not
cooking.
his fault, calm. But 6th, 7th, 12th, Monaco was a disaster. He crashed twice in the same incident.
He's had better performances when he's had broken
He might
hands.
sneak third, you know, just look.
As his hand has
As his hand
healed.
improved, he's getting worse.
He's going back to his old ways.
Yeah, fair.
But I feel that way. Lance more so. I feel that way with what my argument for Bottas is. I feel that much more.
There was
with
no
Lance.
expectation
for
to
Lance.
take
I
that,
have none whatsoever.
Last year wasn't too bad.
As in, he always there's like when he was in the Williams and he got that podium. I was like, oh hello, maybe he might arrive.
Yeah.
But then when he got the Stroll on pole, where was that? Was it Turkey in 2020? Right. I was like, oh hello, happy days. Maybe we might see something. But then after that, it's like he'll give me every now and again a moment of a glorious emotion, but that's about it. I'm not expecting nothing else from him. So I don't even throw him into the conversation. It's so unfair. Like in a sort of science experiment. The Stroll situation is so unfair to this Formula One grid, is that he's here, because he would not be here now. If there's no Papa Stroll, he would not be in Formula One today.
He wouldn't. If
So-
we're being real,
If we're being real, like,
he would have lost his seat in 2020. when Perez lost it.
You did-
If we're being honest,
he replaced Ocon.
Before
he
that,
replaced Ocon,
He replaced Ocon at 4.
I'd say even before that, because how he outlasted like Sorokin and people
Nah,
like that. Sorokin was
I
good.
think Stroll's is very like up and down. He has purple patches.
Yeah, he does.
Saves
He does.
him.
He does.
He'll probably
He
have a
does.
purple patch this year, and then
Yeah.
everybody will stop talking about him.
He's had the purple patch.
Those purple patches
once
are
a year.
enough
It's
to
one a year.
keep his head above water. Just.
But he's
The
struggling.
purple patches are
yeah.
once a
He's
season.
got like
It's like a
two
duck.
floats. He's got like the.
Look at that.
You'll be like,
It's
oh, right,
calm
wow.
on the surface.
Yeah.
You're gonna see Stroll just get like a podium, and everybody just forget about it
Yeah.
No.
after that 3 DNS.
The car is fast, so we should expect it, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
The car is fast.
I wouldn't put him top 3 though.
You wouldn't.
Not yet.
No, listen.
I'm going again. For me, I'm focusing on like who's disappointed me the most.
De Vries.
Who's let me down. I'm going Magnussen 3, Bottas 2, De Vries 1.
Yeah.
Because I think De Vries, given his full body of work, he's nowhere near what I was advocating just as
against
much
today.
as anyone to be like he deserves a shot, he deserves a chance, and he's not taking it. And he has had like. We were talking about rookies earlier, right? Yeah. Rookie today means something very different to what it meant in, mid-2000s, unlimited testing. You could do an entire season's worth of test running before your first race. You weren't a rookie, not like you are now.
Yeah.
You could have so much mileage under your belt before you started. All of those tests that De Vries has done, trying all these different F1 cars of this new generation, of a previous generation, winning Formula E, winning these championships, having this experience, having raced against loads of these guys as juniors, Leclerc, Albon, like in these categories, for him to come in and just not seem to be at the races. Yes, he's out-qualified Yuki a couple of times. Granted, yes, 1 lap pace is not so bad, but it's another really disappointing race. And again, against a Yuki Tsunoda that I don't think is the finished article by any stretch. I think he's on the way, but he's not the finished article. For me, he's been my biggest disappointment.
Yeah. Listen, De Vries, if this was school, if Formula 1 was school, De Vries has been taken out of the classroom and said, we'll put in your report. We might exclude you. It's real soon.
them.
One of them. You might get
Marco's on him.
He might
Yeah,
He's
he
proper
is.
on him. Like,
Yellow card, mate.
he keeps on saying, look, Liam Lawson, Awasa, he's dead waiting. He's threatening him with them 2 names.
Yeah, because what did he get the yellow card before Monaco or after?
Just before Monaco.
Oh, he's
got the yellow
he's dancing on ice right now.
Like,
He's-
if there,
'Cause today
it's,
was
it's
bad
quite
as well.
rare. It's quite rare. But if we do see a mid-season change, it's going to be him
facts, yeah, it will be.
because that's how ruthless Red Bull.
Well, but okay, 3. What's the 3 then?
So
Each
my
of us.
one, I said Sargent.
Are you sticking though?
sticking.
Are we all sticking? So you're saying Sergeant?
I'm saying
3.
Sargent over Magnussen. I think Sargent's been worse than Magnussen.
I forgot who I chose third. De Vries. Yeah, mine was De Vries.
I'm gonna just stick Stroll in, just because.
Oh, so we're stuck with 3, but 2 and 1 we're happy with.
Yeah. Two
Bottas
and
De
1
Vries.
being Bottas and De Vries. For me, it's calm.
My second was Checo. Sorry, Checo needs to be in this list.
Nah,
Fine.
Okay,
Do
fair
it.
enough. Okay, that's blessed, man.
Checo's number 2.
We've all got our own list, so
Yeah, right. Oh, we'd have to come up with a
no.
last lap
It's not a collective list. It's all like individual list.
Yeah, 3 De Vries, 2 Checo, number 1 Bottas.
Boom.
Yeah.
Take that. We'll take that. Okay. Well, let us know in the comments below as well if you're watching along. What would be your 3 if you're watching on YouTube? What are your 3 most disappointing? Again, it's relative to your expectations, so that's why it's always going to be different. Not just the 3 worst necessarily. Right, let's wrap. Thank you for listening, watching, wherever you are in the world. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on TikTok,
Jeez.
Twitter. Where else? What other good digital platforms?
Yeah, man. Well, we're available on your old BBM account.
What's the pin?
We're there. The pin, that's in the description. We're there. WhatsApp voice messages.
Really old
we are
Hotmail
there.
account.
Oh, yeah. You've not
Have
used
you
it.
boys had a really
AOL, facts.
embarrassing email account? My first one was CardDude33.
Mental.
Yeah.
It's not going to get worse than that, bro. I'm not going to lie.
I know.
I think I had like Crickled Player at AOL or something like that, at Hotmail, one of those MSN ones. And I was like, I didn't play
I've
anyone.
never, I don't think.
I don't think I had my name and that's it.
Yeah.
Professional from young.
Yeah, man. Collected
Days
mind from
one.
day.
Sending the CV at 13 on MSN.
Boys, thank you so much for
No
joining
worries.
us.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
again, always a pleasure to have you two on. Again, McLaren Fan TV, where can they find you?
Grand Fan TV card.
Yes, on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. UK time, live on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
YouTubes.
And if you want to see the best Royal Rumble F1 debate platform, Pit Stop Fracker.
Yeah.
At Pit Stop Fracker. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, everything.
I need to come on
join for
sometime.
Yeah.
We need to make that happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it happen. We're having some juicy debates on there.
Interessante.
I want to be involved. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
See you next time.
Bye, yeah.